Welcome back to Let's Talk Finances with Dr. Nina White. Last week, we talked about protecting what you've built, protecting your money, protecting your business, and protecting your family. But today, I want to talk about something that quietly affects almost everyone, and that's delay. Not because people don't care, not because they're irresponsible, not because life gets busy, and before you know it, months become years, and years become missed opportunities. Today, we're talking about the true cost of waiting. Waiting to save, waiting to invest, waiting to start a business, waiting to fix your credit, waiting to create a will, waiting for the perfect time, because the financial delays are expensive. And people don't realize how expensive until it's too late. So like I tell you every single week, get your pen and your pad, call your family in the room, and text someone because we're about to get into it. Let's be honest. How many times have we said, I'll start next month? I'm going to get serious after the holidays. Once things settle down. After this next paycheck. We've all said it. Imagine someone wanted to start savings, right? Nothing major, just $200 per month. But every month something came up. A vacation, a birthday, home repair, school expenses. So they delayed it, right? Not for 1 month, not for 6 months, not for any amount of time, but for 5 years. Now, they said they were going to do it next month, right? Now imagine where that money could have been. Not because $200 changes anything, but because consistency does. The problem isn't always lack of money. The problem is waiting long to act. One of the biggest financial mistakes people make is believing they have more time than they actually do. So let's talk about credit. Because there's another area where the delay becomes expensive, right? Imagine someone notices their credit score has dropped. I know many of you, I know many of you may have already been in that situation. Maybe a few late payments, maybe some collections, some high balances. They know it needs to be they know they need to make attention, right? But they keep putting it off. Put it off until next time. I don't have the money to pay it right now. I'll do it next. Month passes. Then they decide they're ready to buy a house. Now suddenly, those old financial decisions, they matter now. The interest rate is higher. The monthly payment is higher. The loan options are definitely limited. All because the issue wasn't addressed earlier. And this isn't about judgment. It's about awareness. Small financial problems become expensive. Financial problems where they've been ignored, right? We have to be able to pay attention to these things early in the game, right? Early in the game. And then the other thing that I mentioned about investing, waiting, right? Let's wait on doing things. But one of the biggest myths people believe is, no, I need a lot of money before I start investing. But that's not true either. That's not absolutely true. You need a plan. Think about two people. One starts investing small amounts in their 30s. The other waits until their 40s because they think they need more money first, right? The second person may eventually invest more money. But they lost something that they can't recover, time. And time is one of the most powerful wealth building tools available. The earlier you start, the less pressure you have later. That's true for investing, that's true for retirement, and it's definitely true about almost every financial goal. So now let's go a whole lot deeper. Sometimes the delay isn't financial, it's emotional. We've talked about that before, right? Those emotional decisions that we make. People avoid conversations about that. They avoid conversations about life insurance, estate planning, business succession, debt, family finances. Not because it doesn't matter, but because they're uncomfortable conversations. But avoiding a conversation doesn't eliminate a situation. It simply postpones it. And oftentimes it makes it harder later. Financial leadership means having conversations before emergencies force them. I've talked about all of this in the past, right? We're just going deeper and diving deeper into every conversation. So now you want to make sure that you take action, right? What does that look like for you? Everyone's action plan is going to be different, from someone who makes low income to very high earners. Every income action plan is going to be different. I don't want today's message to be heavy on you at all. So just calm down, because this isn't about regret, right? It's just about some momentum. Whatever you've been putting off, start somewhere. Review your budget. Check your credit. Increase your savings. Meet with the financial advisor. Update your beneficiaries. Create your will. Take one step, then another step, then another step, right? Progress doesn't require perfection. It requires movement. So we have all been in a situation where, we're talking about that savings piece, right? I talked about that very early on. And so we talked about savings, and start where you are, because remember, it's flexible. You can make those decisions. It can be flexible, and you start, like I just said, start where you are. If it's $50, if it's $100, start somewhere, because we don't want to have long-term issues, right? We want to be able to do these things early. And like we just said, someone in their 30s, hey, it could be someone in their 20s investing early versus someone in their 30s or 40s. Guess who I can use as an example? Myself. Even from a health standpoint, we're supposed to take care of our health, right? But something may say, oh, I want that sugar over here, or I want that caffeine over there. And then now as we get older, then we start having health issues. And now we're like, what in the world has happened, right? It's the same thing when it comes to money, right? We spend all of this money early. We get all of these credit cards early. Remember, I told you all, and I still don't know how these credit card people know when someone turns 18 years old, but they do, right? And so here comes the credit cards. And if you were not taught early about credit, you're not going to know what to do. So you're going to get it and you're going to swipe until now you have these high balances, and then you don't have the income to be able to bring those balances down. So remember, start somewhere, right? And don't wait. Don't wait till next month. Start right now. Right now, while I'm talking to you, right at this moment. Even if you feel like, I know people who have the envelope plan, right? They'll put money in envelopes every pay period, whatever that looks like, $5, $25, just putting it up, and they don't touch it. And so, because hey, they may not want to put it in the bank. Maybe they feel secure with using an envelope, right? But either way, we want to be able to be consistent. I've said to you all on every single episode, consistency is the key to breakthrough, right? So we have to stay consistent with our time, consistent with our finances, consistent with our credit, consistent with our health. Consistency, right? Wherever that is for you. Don't begin to start trying to live beyond your means. And hey, everything right now is going up. Inflation is through the roof, right? So you have to be able to prepare. So right now, have those conversations with your family. Have those conversations with your top executive team of your business. Have those conversations, right? Because like I stated, one of the biggest financial mistakes people make is believing they have more time, right? And listen, to waiting on the credit, again, it impacts you in the long run if you don't take care of it early. Like we gave you the example here. Someone's ready to buy a house, but they didn't take care of those little bitty things in the beginning. Now your interest rate is through the roof. When you can go somewhere and get a 2.9 or 3.5%, now they're 29 and 30% interest rate. Who's paying that, right? So we have to be mindful of these things. So go ahead now. Don't let it get to collections. Go ahead and attack it now. Attack it early, because we don't want to wait to fix the credit. We don't want to wait to save the money. We don't want to wait to become successful business owners. Let's do this now in the beginning. Take the necessary steps, right? Because what happens after months pass? What happens? I want you to sit in that for right now. Sit in that moment, at this exact moment right now. Sit in that and think, what could I have done if I would have put that money in the bank? What could I have done if I would have paid on that small credit card balance that was $75? But now it's $600, $800, $900. Or even more, because hey, let's get it. Those 800 score credits, you all are getting top of the line credit lines, right? $10,000, $50,000, $100,000. And you're swiping and you're not even taking in consideration anything else. Or we're taking bills and we're putting it on our credit cards, right? Because we haven't financially positioned ourselves. Remember, flexibility. Remember I talked about that last season, 50-30-20 rule. Go back and watch it. Go back and watch it. Every episode that we air, all you have to do is just go back and look at the ones previously and just get the knowledge. Sit still, take the time, write it down, press pause and take some notes, right? Have those conversations, right? Because we want to be able to continue to improve, right? That's what we want to do. With the investment piece, you can, you got your retirement, you got your investment plans, you have stocks, you have CDs. There's so many different things, right? Get with someone that is specialized in those areas, and they'll be able to help you when it comes to that, right? So you don't have to try to recover what was lost. You can just start now. Begin now. Right now. Even if you haven't even started it, go ahead on and begin it right at this moment. Because, listen, I even look at clients that come into the office and they're talking about, I want to invest. I have clients that have been retired for years, maybe 10, 15 years, 20 years. And when I look at the amount that they've invested over time, because they started early, and I'm like, and they can live on it, right? Met with a client about 2 weeks ago, came in and was like, I want to pay more in, right? She had went down to part-time. She retired from one job, got another job. And so she's making all of this money, still making money at a part-time because she's a high earner. But then she said that she was an aggressive investor, right? Aggressive. And so she said her financial advisor told her to slow down. But even when she looked, she was like, I can live off of this. When she showed me the amount of money, and at her age, 65, and already sitting at millionaire status, Amazing. Things like that even like makes me feel better, right? Blows my mind. And to be able to say, hey, I'm in my late 40s. I can still do this, right? And it just gives me a boost and say, well, what can I change on my own, right? When I see other people come into my office and I'm like, you're already a millionaire at 65, right? And she's like, how can I lower my tax liability? What can I do here? What can I do there? And we just talked about it. We had those conversations. And those are the things that you want to do. I know personally, I know a 25-year-old millionaire already. And I'm saying, wow. Why? Because he wanted to start breaking generational curses and build generational wealth, right? No kids, out of college, and just doing it, right? It doesn't matter your age. You can do this at any level. Y'all know I always talk about my daughter and how I started teaching her about savings at such an early age, right? Teaching her about, how to save money, not having major credit cards, paying cash money with these things. And she's doing it. I'm telling you, this girl can save. Sometimes I look at her account and say, can mama hold something? So listen, and so she could be a millionaire by the time she's 30, right? Because she's going on the right path. I took the time to teach her. That's why I always tell y'all to bring your family in the room every week, right? Because you want to teach them early. I'm teaching my son early, right? And so he's now ready. He's excited about having his bank account. Whereas before, he didn't understand it, but now he sees it. He's getting a statement in the mail, and he's able to see his bank account and see his money grow, because every little bit of money he gets, now he want to run to the bank. And the other conversations, like life insurance and estate planning, these are difficult conversations to have, right? Because who wants to think about the end, right? Who wants to think about those things? But it's important to think about it, right? Because if you think about it now, you want to take the burden off of your family in the end. I have a couple of funeral home clients, right? And one time, one of my funeral home clients, I actually went to one of their locations because he had hired an administrator, and we were trying to get them acclimated to the systems that we had changed over to. So we went down there and I kind of did a training with his administrative assistant so that she would know how to send things over to us. I'm sitting in the office and people are coming in and doing paying in advance for their services. And I'm like blown away. I'm like, people are doing that? And she's like, yeah, they come in here all the time. And I remember this one couple that came in. Oh my goodness, you could just see the fear all over the wife's face, right? So the husband was coming in and he's like, I'm gonna go ahead on and take care of my services and this, that, and the third. And I looked at the wife, I said, what's wrong? And she said, I don't want to think about this. I don't want to think about it. And I said, well, wouldn't you rather him go ahead on and do it so that by the time this happens, and of course, you don't know who may transition first, right? So when I said, God forbid he transitions before you, that weight of having to plan everything, you don't have to worry about it because he's already taking care of it in advance. And then she said, I didn't think about it like that. She's like, all I know is that I don't want to lose my husband. And I said, I get it. And I said, and vice versa. He don't want to lose you either. But if you go ahead on and take care of it in advance, that's one thing the family doesn't have to worry about. So have those conversations. Sit down. Now, listen, I'm not no life insurance agent, okay? I don't do it. But get with someone who does, because you don't want the strain of it. I see so many friends and family who deal with the stress of having to bury a loved one and don't know where anything is, or there's no resources there, so now they have to go into their own personal money, or they people are going to GoFundMe. Listen, I'm gonna implement this right quick. GoFundMe is not an emergency, is not an insurance platform, okay? It's not. When I see that, it really kind of sends me over the top. When I see that on social media, people are like, GoFundMe for funerals and things like that. Again, plan now, right? Get ahead of it now. And I mean, even young people leaving this world every single day. I have insurance on my kids, right? Do I want anything to happen to them? Absolutely not. But God forbid something does. I'm not going to have to try to figure out how I'm going to take care of it, right? So sit down and have these uncomfortable conversations. Even when it comes to estate planning. And again, people think in order to do estate planning, you got to have a lot of money, a lot of assets. You don't. You just want to be able to put things in perspective so that when it's time, you ain't got to worry about the courts getting involved. You have already taken care of these things. I'm an accountant, and these are the conversations that I have. You don't come across many people in my field that have these kind of conversations. If the only time you talk to your accountant is during tax season, you're leaving money on the table, right? So therefore, I have these conversations from every standpoint, from the financial standpoint of savings all the way down to the long-term goal as business owners. What do you want your end to look like? Are you trying to work the rest of your life? Are you planning for the, you transitioning from business owner to board member to, now you're receiving the royalties from the business? Long term, we're talking about life insurance. We're talking about that, and I'm connecting them with the right people. We're talking about credit. What does your credit look like? Do you want to buy a house? I'm setting them up. I don't just have basic conversations with clients. That's what sets us apart from everyone. So have those uncomfortable conversations with the family. Business assessors, listen. Get your business, talk to your family members about your business, right? My daughter's home for the summer. Guess where she's at? Working Monday through Thursday, right at M&D Accounting. Because why? This is for her and my son. She's the oldest, so who has to learn it first, right? Then she'll be able to show her brother, right? These are the things that's uncomfortable. So you want to have those conversations. Take action. Take those steps, okay? Like literally, sit down, review your budget. Review your numbers. Remember I told you all, what if someone came up to you, and I'm still waiting because someone gonna come up to me and say it. What if someone comes up to you and say, I got a blank check. How much debt are you in? What is that amount? And I'll write it off and I'll pay off your debt right now. Can you, off the top of your head, tell someone what that is? I can. Why? Because I go over my numbers every month. I go over my numbers. I have conversations with my clients about doing their numbers. I have conversations with my staff, knowing your numbers, right? Because we're trying to get out of debt. Not incur more debt, right? And so because we're building wealth, right? We're building wealth. So these are the conversations. So sit down and review your budget. A lot of people don't know what it may cost just to live month to month, right? And it probably don't even take much, but because you don't know your numbers, you're spending excessively, right? Check your credit. Pull your credit. If I'm not mistaken, you can pull your credit once a year for free. 3 credit bureaus. Reach out. Pull your credit. Look at it. Go through it. There may be discrepancies there that don't even apply to you. You want to make sure you go through it. You may say, this isn't mine, or I've paid that off. Go over that. Sit down and check your credit. Increase those savings accounts, right? And you don't have to just have one savings account. You can have multiple savings accounts, right? But you just save. Save. That's the thing. Save. And meet with a financial advisor, right? Sit down with this person that go over all of these things, and they'll be able to help you. Oh, update your beneficiaries. Listen, make sure you do that. Make sure you do that. A lot of times, beneficiaries aren't updated, and the outcome may not be so well, right? And family members are mad. Update your beneficiaries. Who is the responsible person? Who do you truly trust to be able to handle everything for you? Sit down and have these conversations. Sit down and reevaluate everything, right? It doesn't have to happen overnight, but just start the process. Create a will. It's imperative to create a will. No, you don't got to be a millionaire to create a will. Just create one, because what happens when you don't have these in place? The courts are involved, right? They're going to dictate what happens. Do you want the court to come in and dictate who gets your house, who gets your car, who gets this money that's in the bank account? No. Go ahead and put these things in perspective. Take one step, then another step, right? Then another step. That's all you have to do. Progress doesn't require perfection. It just requires you to move. That's it, right? So here's what I want you to remember. Financial success isn't built on one big moment, right? It's built through consistent action. The greatest financial cost isn't always what you spend. Sometimes it's what's postponed. The opportunity to delay, the decision to avoid, the step you never take. Start now. Start small, but start, because your future self will thank you, okay? So listen, if you're looking for professional financial guidance, our team would be so happy to assist you at M&D Accounting. All you have to do is call our office at 1-877-839-7778. Again, that number is 1-877-839-7778. Or if you have a question or comment that you would like for us to answer on our next episode, text us at 1-844-436-2788. Our QR code is probably floating around about right now. 844-436-2788. Email us. Contact us at mdaccounting.org. Again, that's contact us at mdaccounting.org. Thank you for spending your time with me, and it's been a joy, and I'll see you all next week.